Hi there, my name is David. Welcome to my channel. Today, what we're doing is a crocheted chunky jumper. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is creating yarn on the knitting machine, and I'm just going to show you basically how this is made. And I will show you just kind of the general process and just how to make this work for your machine. So let's have a look and see what it looks like. The first process I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to create yarn. I'm using two needles and two thinner types of double knitting that I put together to make this yarn. And basically, the whole point is to create a chunky effect. But as some yarns can be really expensive, or to find the type of yarns you want, sometimes it's just easier just to make your own yarn, and this is basically how I do it. It is a much longer process. It took a lot of hours in order to create this yarn, but I just thought it would be a better idea if I could do this yarn and do the process of making this knitted garment. Um, Overall, I must have used about 1,000 basically 1,000 grams, I should say. That's the kind of weight. It's not. I used 200 gram wool, and I used about 10 or to about 12 100 grams double knit, and that's how this process was. Here I've done the yarn, and basically what I'm doing now is I'm crocheting up the panel pieces, and this is going to be the actual look of the garment. I just did a kind of a very basic pattern, which was just kind of creating like squares within the pattern. And I just wanted to do something really simple, but also just to create something with a surface texture that would be interesting. What I'm doing now is I'm basically just going to fit it. I didn't do an actual pattern for this. I just thought I would just work it out how the pattern was going to come out, and just gradually work how this would be. As it crocheted really easily. I didn't have to do too much fitting. I did make the armholes a little bit longer because I thought maybe it might be better. I should have actually done slightly smaller armholes in this pattern, and so this is how the basics started to work. It really kind of fitted really well. The two front panels, the sleeves were a little bit more difficult to fit, but overall it came out all right. I had to do the top of the sleeves at least about once or twice in order to get the shape. Here I am. I'm actually working, showing how I'm actually adding stitches by hand, because when you actually apply the garment to the actual knitting, or to the machine, that when you want to do a rib, for instance, here I'm doing the rib. Um, it's you have to do the first row by hand, because the machine will catch on the actual larger chunks of the actual knitting. When you do this by hand, it allows for loops to form, and to make it easier for you to do the knitting process when you do your rows. For this, I made a ribbing row for about 10 or 12 rows. They weren't very wide, and I just felt, I didn't really want to make a very wide rib. The garment was a little bit longer than I thought as well, so I really did a more narrow rib at the bottom. of the garments, which was about 10 rows. And here you can see a little bit more of a close-up of me pulling the yarns. What I also started to do was actually push the needle further back to make the loops a little bit bigger so that it could ease down a little bit easier. Here I've done the ribbing, and this is how it works, and here I am doing the final 2 rows. Um, it was a little bit tight on the yarn for some reason on this section of it. I did actually have to put weights on it as well. So that's how that worked. Here I'm just showing you the sleeve aspect of it. This is the bottom of the sleeves. I just thought I would show you how I hook it on. It did take a bit of time, and I did find the panels a little bit weighted, but I found that when I was doing the rib, it needed the weights, so I had to put a few extra weights on, and that seemed to work really well. Initially, I didn't for the first sleeve, I didn't actually measure anything. I just worked out how many I needed to insert and just how to look, how many needles I needed to use, and that's how I gauged it. So I did one sleeve first, and then with the second sleeve, I just counted the number of stitches, and then I just kind of fitted them on. I always work on one side from left to right usually, or it depends on if you want to work from right to left. It doesn't really matter. It's just you got to work on the way that your carriage is going to be. My carriage was on the right side, so I needed to work from left to right. And also, when you do your yarn, it's also better to work from left to right, because you got to work from the side that you're going to work where you're going to thread your carriage. The actual attaching the sleeves to the machine was quite easy. The sleeves weren't that heavy. The acrylic wasn't very heavy. It's only got heavy when I started knitting together. Here I am. You can see I'm working from left to right. I'm using the yarns. As you can see, I've tried to make the loops a little bit bigger so that when the machine goes over, it's a little bit easier. It was a little bit uneven here, but it didn't seem to show on the actual rib when I actually finished it. It just helped make sure that the loops are big enough so that the machine doesn't catch on any of the thick pieces. You don't have to be 100% perfect for this. You just need to make sure that when you do the first sleeve, it works the same for the other sleeve. And if you're 1 or 2 stitches out, it's not really going to make a difference. The other thing I wanted to say is just go very carefully with some of this so you don't catch any extra threads on it, because then it will create bulk and then the machine will not like it. Here I am, I'm now doing the row after hanging uh, the sleeve on, and here I am doing the first row. I think for the sleeve I did 12 rows, and I can't remember, I think it was about 30 stitches or 35 stitches or 36 stitches, so it wasn't really a lot of stitches that I had to do. The machine was a little bit difficult with doing this rib a little bit, so you just got to make sure that when you knit this that it works easiest for you. I did also do a high stitch length as well on the stitch gauge, and that seemed to help a little bit. Here I am, I'm just creating the rib. I'm doing the rib by hand. This took a little bit of time, but I actually found doing ribbing is not so bad. I actually enjoy doing ribbing when I do these patterns. I just find it kind of interesting to do. As you can see with the loops, I've got two yarns, and this is how I do. Also, the other thing I needed to do as well is when you cast off, make sure that your casting is kind of loose, because then it can work easier and not be too tight. Here I am, I'm just showing you how I finished this garment off. I'm just using a crochet hook, and what I find with a crochet hook, what you do is you always use a thinner yarn when you do your crocheting, when you put the garment together and do the crocheting. Here I'm basically just finishing it off. I'm just doing the last bit here, and but overall I've crocheted everything that I've done here, and this is how this is going to work. um, the crochet is a much better stitch as well because it's much stronger, and I'm able to get more access to it easier with a crochet hook, and I find it much easier for me to do. Well, anyway, this is the end of the video. I hope you liked it, and I hope this is something useful you can do. Here's the finished garment, and I will see you in the next project soon.